Hello and welcome to Inside the Ocean League with me, your host, Fantasy Pat Riley, and Josh Lloyd. This is going to be a show where we're going to talk about power rankings pre-week. We're going to start with week 0 this week, and we're going to look into the strengths, weaknesses, and we're going to comment on every team and see how that goes. Josh is here, going to pull up the power rankings, and we will start from there. And as we begin, we see an interesting list, surely. Josh Lloyd has fantasy Eric Spoelstra at number 1, winning the league. And, he's an interesting team case. You look at it and you see he's a dead corpse of a contender team from before, and you add that to a team that had a lot of pieces, and it's made an incredible star lineup. And I frankly can't disagree with Josh here. This is the best team going into it. Star-studded, flexible. Interesting trade last night. He traded away Kyrie for Kawhi, so injuries a wash right there, injury concerns, and he's picked up Mike Conley with it. Interesting. We'll see how that works, what it's for, but I agree with Josh on this one. At number 2, Josh has Slim Reapers. Slim Reapers. They looked like one of the weaker contenders before last night, but blockbuster trade, if you haven't heard, if you've been under a rock. He traded John Collins for Kawhi, upgrading John Collins in a sus situation. Now he has Kawhi, number 1 first rounder. So, number 2, he bolsters him in a lot of categories, and very great trade. We're seeing the continuation of this crazy arms race, and he's bolstered himself at this number 2 spot. I can't say I disagree with Josh here. At number 3, we have Danny. This is where we start to get, I don't know, Josh, if I agree with you. I think Danny does have a top 4 team, but he is lacking on the star power compared to the other teams. But what he does find himself in a favorable situation is, he is kind of an anti-team to all of the contenders. A lot of these contenders are big teams or, aiming for field goals. So I think he does have a sneaky approach into a possible ring this year. At number 5, we have a shocking pick. I had to disagree with this one, Josh. We have Trust the Process at number 4. And I have to say, I think he does have the advantage with how he has a big kind of lineup, but is flexible in other cats. But I can't say he's really lacking on the star power compared to some of these other guys. And clear cut build, but I don't see it, and I think we'll see this change in the upcoming weeks. At number 5, we have again a shocking pick, criminally underrated here. We see Infinity Gauntlet at number 5. Underrated, solid core. I will say, with these shocking trades, he does find him in a bit of a panic state. I'd say he does have to find some sort of response to these trades. But, young core and a contender, really, he's in a good spot. I can see him beating the best of the best. So I have to say this is a terrible ranking on this one. At number 6, we see Too Fast, Too Curious. Interesting. He made a blockbuster trade, win now trade. His window is tight though, and there are concerns. Can he pull it off with some of these star-studded teams? He does have a star-studded team himself, but they are pushing the age limit, and we will see if it works out. I have my doubts personally. Next, we have Winton, who is again in an interesting position. He does have some young guys, some win now guys. We got to see what direction he goes in, but I see him as a middle of the pack team again. Same with Javi. You could honestly repeat the exact same thing as before at the next spot. Middle of the pack team, young guys. We'll see. Maybe he goes young, maybe he goes old for the ring. We're gonna have to see. And then here you really start seeing a fall off. We see Sufjan, who made a great trade, I'd say, for John Collins, and he got uh, for Kawhi, and a great haul, I'd say. John Collins is a good guy, tough position this year, but in the end, talent wins out. He's not in a rush right now, but he is at he has guys that are 24, 25ish. You do want to speed that process up. You can't be tanking forever. He's been here for a while, and I'm looking to see how he gets himself out of this position. At the second to last spot, we have Fantasy Pat Riley. With He's found himself really low here. We're not sure. He went from contender to a bottom team real quick. He does have two top five dynasty talents, but with Giannis being a little bit older, we're gonna see, is there a market for a big like Giannis, a big player like Giannis? We're not seeing the kind of market that that would and should be there for Giannis. And we've had heard rumors of him floating around Giannis. We're gonna have to see, but I don't think he's in a rush. I think he's trying to secure that top three pick, and it will be interesting seeing if he can pull it off. Cade would go nicely with Trey, but honestly, Cade is deserving, much more deserving to our last guy here, to Infinity and your mom. What a god awful team. It says right here that Jackson would beat him 8-1. That's incredible. I didn't even know that was possible. But hey, if you know you're tanking and you know your timeline, and you have Luka, why not farm up some picks, farm up some prospects? And he's doing it. He's been absolutely relentless on the waiver wire in the trades. So, he's clearly a competent manager, but questionable moves, but clearly he's a guy who will win out in the end and will formulate a team. Depending, it may be long out, but he will clearly make a contender at some point. That rounds out my analysis of Josh's rankings here. I want to thank Josh, thank myself, and thank Kia for sponsoring this talk. So until next week, we'll see week one power rankings. Until then.